Hello students, today we will continue with the second chapter of your political science syllabus, that is the state, definition, nature, characteristics and origin. In the last video we have learned about the term state, the different definitions given by the scholars about the state. And we have also learned about the definition given by Gardner. If we analyze the definitions given by Gardner, then there are some characteristics or elements of the state. Today we will learn about these elements of the state. Elements are of two types, essential elements and non-essential elements. The elements or the features or the characteristics without which no state can be formed, or we cannot think of a state, then those are called essential elements, and those elements which are not absolutely necessary in the formation of the state, or we do not always find them, they are called the non-essential elements of the state. Essential elements of the state are four. They are population, territory, government and sovereignty. These four elements make up a state. Without any one of them, a state cannot be formed, and that is why they are termed to be the essential elements or the most important characteristics of a state. First, we will learn about the population. There can be no state without people living in it. A desert land cannot be called a state, but if people live in it, then it can be called a state if other characteristics are present. There is a question regarding the number of people living in a state. Ancient scholars were in favor of a small size of population, because for them small size of population meant a better governance. It could be better, people could be better looked after by the state. They can enjoy more the rights and privileges, and that will help in the development of the state. And but in the modern times we find that there are states having small population like that of Switzerland, or states having large population like that of India or China. Some scholars believe that if the population is more, that helps in a better utilization of the natural resources available in a state. But we have to remember that utilization of natural resources and development of a state depends on the productivity of the people. If the people are capable, then even a small group of people or a small number of people can lead to the economic development of a state. But if the people are not being able to utilize their capacity to the fullest, then that state cannot prosper. So size of the population is also not fixed up. The next important element of the state is territory. A group of people moving from place to place cannot form a state. They must permanently occupy a land. And in political science, when we talk about territory, we mean the land area where the people live, the seas, the rivers, mountains present in the land area, the seas or oceans bordering the land area, and the space above the land area as territory. So it includes everything. It does not mean only the land on which the people live. If there are mountains or rivers passing through it, if there are oceans or seas bordering it, and definitely the space above the land area, the airspace above the land area, all these come under the category of territory in political science. Again, regarding the size of the territory, there nothing has been fixed up. There are states with small land area, there are states with larger territories. But large territories means more availability of more natural resources which could be utilized by the people for the development of the state. But again, development of the state depends on several other factors as well as territory. So we see that when we are talking about territory in political science, it is an important element of the state. Without it, a state cannot be formed. Now, a group of people permanently occupying a land area or a territory must be able to fulfill the purposes for which they have formed or they are living together. They need a machinery through which all these purposes would be fulfilled. The government is the machinery through which the state makes laws, maintains law and order, fulfills its objectives, looks after the well-being of the people. So without the government, the state cannot function. The state cannot function on its own. It needs a machinery. The government is the machinery through which the state performs all its functions. So without a government, a state cannot be formed. And when we are talking about the government and the state, we should keep in mind that the state is permanent, but the government is not. The state continues. The state is there, but the machinery changes from time to time, and it is natural. So state is permanent, whereas government is not permanent. Next, the most important element of the state is sovereignty. It is the absolute supreme power of the state to take her own decisions regarding her internal and external matters. Internally means its authority extends over all the people living and all the institutions functioning within that territory. And externally, it is free to take her own decisions. No other state can interfere in her decision making. This power of the state is called sovereignty. Without sovereignty, no state can be formed. Group of people organizing themselves, living in a particular land area or territory, having a government of its own, cannot form a state or cannot be called a state until and unless it has sovereignty, the sovereign or the supreme power to take her own decisions without the interference of any other authority. That is called sovereignty, and without sovereignty there can be no state. So these were the permanent essential elements. Now we come to the non-essential elements of the state. First is permanence. That is, a state is permanent. I have just now told you the state is permanent. But again, there is a question that there are states that have broken down, or several other states, small states, have come up from a large state like that of Soviet Union. Soviet Union collapsed or broke down, and from there several states have been formed. So we cannot say that permanence is an important feature. It is important. A state is more or less permanent because a state is not frequently formed, but it is not an absolute feature of the state. Second is international recognition. A state, in order to be a state, must be recognized by the other states and by the international organizations. But again, this is not an absolute feature or an important feature of the state, because China was not recognized by the other states for a long period of time, but it did not take away China's status of statehood. Next, we will analyze the elements that we have learned now. Can West Bengal be called a state? Let us analyze. West Bengal has a population of its own. West Bengal has a territory and also a government of its own, but it does not have that supreme power to take her own decisions. It must take its decisions based on the decisions given by the central government. So it is not a state according to the definition of political science. UNO, which is an international organization, like that is the United Nations Organization, does not have population, it does not have a territory. It has a machinery through which it organizes or manages its work, and most importantly, it does not have sovereignty, so it is not